What if 3 foods in your grocery cart right now could help protect your prostate, and 3 common items could quietly make things worse? I'm Dr. Julia Morgan, board-certified urologist with over 15 years of clinical experience, and today I'll walk you through practical, doctor-backed steps you can start using this week. 3 foods to include, 3 to avoid, and simple lifestyle habits that multiply the benefit. If you want practical, science-framed guidance to protect prostate health, hit like and subscribe. I'll keep these short and useful. First, a quick picture of why what you eat matters. The prostate sits below the bladder and around the urethra. As men age, a combination of low-level inflammation, changes in circulation, and shifts in hormone balance commonly leads to symptoms like more frequent trips to the bathroom or a sense of incomplete emptying. Think of blood vessels like garden hoses. When they're narrowed or clogged, flow is reduced. Think of inflammation as a slow-burning fire that makes tissues feel swollen and less efficient. Foods influence both the hose and the fire. Certain nutrients calm inflammation and support healthy circulation. Others feed that slow burn or add oxidative stress. Diet isn't the only factor. Genetics, medications, and other medical conditions matter, but what you choose to eat is one of the levers you can control every day. Let's start with the 3 protective foods, and I'll give you plain language reasons, conservative serving suggestions, and easy ways to add them to your routine. First, tomatoes and cooked tomato products. The superstar compound here is lycopene, a plant pigment that acts as an antioxidant. In simple terms, it helps neutralize damaging molecules and reduce oxidative stress. Research suggests diets higher in lycopene are associated with better prostate outcomes, and the good news is that cooked tomato products make lycopene more available to your body than raw tomatoes. That means a half cup of cooked tomato sauce, a cup of stewed tomatoes, or a bowl of tomato-based soup a few times per week is a practical target. Try a warming bowl of tomato and vegetable soup for lunch, or a simple pan sauce. Sweat some onions and garlic and a tablespoon of olive oil, add canned crushed tomatoes, look for low sodium. Toss in chopped basil, and serve over whole grain pasta or roasted vegetables. Even a spoonful of tomato sauce on eggs or a fresh shakshuka counts. Small tip, cooking tomatoes with a little healthy fat, olive oil or avocado oil, helps your body absorb lycopene more efficiently, so don't be afraid of a splash of oil when you cook your sauce. If canned products are more convenient, choose those labeled low sodium and without added sugar. Second, fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, sardines, or trout. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which have anti-inflammatory properties and support blood vessel health.
For a practical guideline, aim for 2 to 3 3 to 4 ounce servings of fatty fish per week. That could be a baked salmon fillet on Monday, a sardine salad on Wednesday, and a mackerel sandwich on Friday. If fresh fish is expensive or inconvenient, frozen wild salmon or canned sardines are excellent shelf-stable choices. Simple preparations work best: a sheet pan roast with lemon and herbs, or a quick pan sear served over a bed of greens. If you're vegetarian or don't like fish, walnuts and ground flaxseed provide plant-based omega-3s, ALA, though they're processed differently by the body. Include a small handful of walnuts or a tablespoon of ground flaxseed in your breakfast to get that benefit. One important caveat: if you are taking blood-thinning medication, discuss fish oil supplements with your physician before starting them because they can alter bleeding risk. Whole food fish is the preferred first step. Third, cruciferous vegetables: broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and kale. These vegetables contain compounds such as sulforaphane that support the body's natural detox pathways and have been associated in several studies with improved markers relevant to prostate health. They're also a great source of fiber, which helps metabolic health and supports a healthy weight, both important for prostate outcomes. A practical aim is to include a cup of cruciferous vegetables most days of the week. If fresh is tough to manage, frozen works well and retains many nutrients. Roasting broccoli with a little olive oil and lemon, tossing Brussels sprouts with balsamic and a sprinkle of Parmesan, or folding shredded cabbage into tacos are all easy ways to add them. If a strong flavor is off-putting, mix cruciferous veg into soups or casseroles where they blend with other ingredients. Those 3 pillars, cooked tomatoes, fatty fish, and cruciferous vegetables, work through anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and metabolic pathways. Studies suggest diets rich in these foods are associated with a lower likelihood of prostate-related problems and with better symptom control in many men, though nothing guarantees prevention. The practical beauty is that adding them is straightforward and can be adapted to your taste and budget. Now, the 3 foods to avoid, with clear reasons and realistic swaps. First, to limit processed and charred red meats. This includes sausages, hot dogs, bacon, and heavily charred steaks. Processed meats tend to be high in sodium, preservatives, and compounds associated with inflammation. High-heat charring creates heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, substances linked to oxidative stress. For men concerned about prostate health, it's reasonable to reduce these foods and choose leaner, less processed proteins. Swap a sausage breakfast for scrambled eggs with spinach and tomato. Trade a charred burger for a turkey or grilled chicken breast. Or replace a steak night with a baked salmon or a hearty bean chili. When you do grill, avoid heavy charring and use lower, longer cooking methods like baking, braising, or stewing, which produce fewer of the harmful compounds. Second to limit, high saturated fat dairy and some full-fat processed dairy products. Saturated fat can contribute to systemic inflammation and dysregulated metabolism in some people, which in turn may influence prostate health. This isn't a message to fear dairy entirely. Plain Greek yogurt or moderate amounts of milk can be part of a balanced diet, but consider choosing lower fat options when you can, and watch portion sizes for items like full-fat cheese, butter-heavy sauces, and cream-based desserts. A practical swap is to use plain Greek yogurt with berries instead of a cream dessert, or to grate a small amount of Parmesan over vegetables instead of liberal dollops of heavy cheese. If you rely on dairy for calcium, choose low-fat fortified plant milks or low-fat dairy options, and check with your clinician about bone health and calcium needs. Third, to avoid or greatly reduce, heavily fried, ultra-processed, and high-sugar foods. These include deep-fried restaurant foods, many packaged snacks, sugary beverages, and items with trans fats. These foods are pro-inflammatory, can worsen circulation and metabolic health, and undermine the benefits you're trying to gain from the protective foods. Realistic alternatives are simple: air-fried or oven-baked versions of favorites, whole nut snacks instead of packaged chips, sparkling water with a swathe of lemon instead of soda, and whole fruits instead of sugary desserts. If sweets are a habit after dinner, try a small bowl of berries with a teaspoon of chopped nuts or a square of dark chocolate to satisfy the craving with less inflammatory impact. Let's bring this into a day-in-the-life example, adapted for older men and caregivers who often prepare meals. Breakfast could be a bowl of steel-cut oats topped with a handful of berries, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed, and a scattering of walnuts. Midday, try a salad with mixed greens, a half cup of roasted cherry tomatoes, flaked canned salmon or a grilled fillet, and a drizzle of olive oil and lemon. Snack on carrot sticks with hummus or a small cup of plain yogurt with a few berries. For dinner, roast a tray of Brussels sprouts and cauliflower with olive oil and garlic. Serve with a modest portion of baked salmon or a lentil stew, and finish with a small piece of fruit. This pattern emphasizes the protective foods while replacing processed meats and fried items. If you're wondering about convenience and taste, which matter tremendously, some practical shopping and cooking tips help. Keep a few cans of low-sodium crushed tomatoes and canned sardines in the pantry, frozen wild salmon and frozen mixed cruciferous vegetables in the freezer, plain Greek yogurt and a bag of mixed nuts in the fridge and pantry. A single sheet pan roast can feed 2 or 3 meals with minimal effort. When grocery shopping, read labels for added sugars and sodium. And when eating out, choose grilled or baked options. Ask for sauces on the side, and try to avoid the heavily charred crust that builds on high-heat cooking. To make change stick, I often recommend a 3-week focus rather than a dramatic overhaul. Week 1 is about swaps. Replace processed breakfast meats with eggs or a plant-based alternative. Add a serving of cooked tomato to 2 meals, and choose water or sparkling water over soda. Week 2 adds fatty fish twice that week, and replaces one dairy-heavy item with a lower fat or plant-based option. Week 3 emphasizes cruciferous vegetables daily, and reduces fried or packaged snacks to a minimum. Each week has simple daily actions you can check off: a serving of cooked tomato, a fish meal twice a week, and 1 cruciferous vegetable serving. Small wins compound. Consistent, modest changes do more than sporadic extremes. Movement and stress management amplify dietary benefits. A short 10 to 15-minute walk after meals promotes circulation and can help bladder function by improving digestion and blood flow. For stress reduction, because chronic stress ramps up inflammation, try a simple breathing pattern. Inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 2, and exhale gently for 6. Repeat this 5 times when you feel tension building. These are low-risk, easy practices that support the food choices and help you feel more in control. You may have heard about pelvic exercises or hands-on self-care for urinary comfort. Those approaches can be helpful for some men when guided by a clinician or pelvic health specialist. I'll emphasize this once. Avoid attempting invasive or detailed techniques without professional instruction.
If pelvic floor work or targeted self-care is of interest, speak with your urologist or a pelvic health therapist and follow clinically vetted guidance. To keep this practical and human, a few short real-world examples. Robert, 64, started swapping his weekend bacon for salmon and added roasted tomatoes to dinner. He told me he felt more energetic during the day and slept a little more soundly at night. James, 70, found that reducing fried restaurant meals and increasing cruciferous vegetables made his digestion more regular, which reduced bathroom urgency that disrupted his evenings. Daniel, 65, noticed that by cutting back on processed meats and adding 2 fish meals a week, he felt steadier during his daily walks. These are individual stories, not guarantees. They illustrate how small changes in food and routine can improve day-to-day comfort and confidence.
A few common questions I hear. Is this a cure? No, I always frame this with care. Evidence suggests these foods and patterns are associated with better prostate-related outcomes and better overall metabolic and vascular health, but they do not guarantee prevention or reversal of disease. What about supplements? Whole foods are the priority. If you're considering supplements like concentrated lycopene or fish oil, discuss them with your physician, especially if you are on medications such as blood thinners or have other chronic conditions. Do I still need screenings? Yes. Diet complements medical care. It does not replace routine checkups, recommended screening conversations, or treatment plans your clinician advises. Safety is paramount. This content is educational and not a substitute for individualized medical advice. Before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have other medical conditions or take prescription medications, consult your healthcare provider or a registered dietitian. If you notice red flags, blood in the urine, severe or sudden pain in the abdomen or pelvis, high fever with urinary symptoms, sudden inability to urinate, or a rapid decline in general health, seek urgent medical attention. Don't stop, alter, or delay prescribed medications with explicit guidance from your prescribing clinician. To recap, focus on adding cooked tomatoes, fatty fish, and cruciferous vegetables into your weekly routine, and reduce processed and charred red meats, high saturated fat dairy when excessive, and heavily fried or ultra-processed sugary foods. Combine these dietary steps with a few practical behaviors, a short walk after meals, a daily breathing practice, and small consistent swaps over a 3-week challenge, and you'll be stacking simple, sustainable habits that support prostate and overall health. Before we finish, I'd like to hear from you. Post in the comments one food you'll add to your cart this week and one you're willing to stop or cut back on. If this was helpful, subscribe for more evidence-based tips aimed at men's health and aging well. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Julia Morgan. Take these small steps, be consistent, and check in with your healthcare team as you make changes.